Welcome in, everybody, ready to dive deep. Today, we're going to be tackling a concept that's puzzled people for centuries, really, the Trinity. And we're going to look at it through the lens of the Urantia book, which has some really fascinating perspectives on it.
It's amazing how the Urantia book really reveals this incredible depth and breadth to the concept of the Trinity. It's really woven into the very fabric of reality in a way that we don't often think about.
So for anyone who might be new to this, when we say Trinity, we're not just talking about the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit here.
Right.
We're talking about this universal principle of three in one, a singular deity existing as multiple persons.
Yes.
And are you saying the Urantia book takes that idea and just runs with it?
Absolutely. But before we get into the really complex stuff, it's really interesting to kind of start back with how humans have historically understood this idea of three as one. And the Urantia book actually uses the term triads to describe these early human attempts to grasp at this concept of the Trinity. Triads that popped up all over the world in different cultures.
Right, like those concentric circles that Machiavelli and Melchizedek wore. Those were basically ancient infographics.
Precisely. Think about it. You have early humans trying to make sense of the universe, probably limited by their counting systems, and they start noticing these patterns. You have 3 fingers on a hand, a 3-legged stool for stability. I mean, even the cycle of day and night can be broken down into 3 parts.
Sunrise, midday, sunset.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. So they're seeing these threes popping up everywhere, and it starts to work its way into how they understand the divine.
Exactly. It's fascinating how our brains work, right?
Yeah.
And you see it reflected in a lot of those early religious interpretations as well. Like the Hindus, for example, with their concept of being, intelligence, and joy, or the Buddhists with their teacher, law, and brotherhood. All reflections of this fundamental 3-in-1 idea.
So we have this kind of natural inclination towards triads, this way of simplifying the world around us. But the Urantia book is saying that true Trinity, that's something different. It's revealed, not just something we observe.
Right, exactly. In fact, the Urantia book actually details 3 significant attempts to reveal this true nature of the Trinity to humanity. And it's fascinating to see how those attempts were both influenced by existing beliefs and how difficult it was to truly grasp the concept.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's unpack those 3 attempts. Who were the first to give it a go?
So the first attempt, surprisingly, came from Prince Caligastia's staff.
Wow.
Nearly 500,000 years ago. Yes, that Caligastia. Unfortunately, most of that knowledge ended up being lost during the rebellion.
Talk about a major cosmic plot twist. Okay, so attempt number 2.
Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
They focused their teachings around the Father, Son, and Spirit. And thankfully, some traces of that knowledge did linger. It influenced belief systems in Mesopotamia, Egypt, even made it over to India, where you have Agni, the 3-headed fire god.
Okay, so some little seeds of truth were planted, but it sounds like humanity was still struggling to really reconcile this idea of a single god with this 3-in-1-ness. So who gets the next shot at explaining it?
That would be our friend with the concentric circles.
Chuckles.
Machiavelli Melchizedek.
Of course.
Yeah, he came to remind humanity about the universal Father, eternal Son, and the infinite Spirit. But it was definitely an uphill battle.
Trying to explain a concept as mind-blowing as the Trinity to, nomadic tribes.
Yeah.
That's going to be like trying to teach a cat to play chess. Right?
You could say that. The Urantia book even mentions that many of his followers ended up kind of blending this Trinity concept with existing beliefs. Like, for example, the 3 most highs of Melchizedek. Very few really grasped the concept of an eternal paradise Trinity.
It really highlights the sheer scale of what they were trying to understand. But this difficulty in grasping the Trinity, that wasn't just an issue for those early humans, was it? Later religions, especially the monotheistic ones, had a real tough time with this concept.
Oh, absolutely. And understandably so. I mean, the very idea kind of challenged the foundation of their beliefs.
Let's delve into that a bit. What made it so challenging for those monotheistic faiths to reconcile their beliefs with this Trinity?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a religion like Judaism, which is founded on this unwavering belief in Yahweh as the one true God, the concept of a Trinity, that must have seemed like a real head-scratcher.
Absolutely. It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Right.
Their entire belief system was built on the singularity of God. To then say, well, actually, there are 3 of them, but they're also one, it would naturally create a theological conundrum. And the Urantia book actually points to this very struggle.
It does make you wonder, though, if this concept of the Trinity is this, universal truth, Why wasn't it presented in a way that could be, I don't know, more easily understood across different cultures and belief systems? That's a great question, and it speaks to, I think, the mystery that's inherent in the Urantia book's narrative.
Mm.
It suggests that revealing these spiritual truths is a process, one that unfolds over vast stretches of time, and that it's a process that is influenced by the capacity of those who are receiving the revelation. Remember, even with divine intervention, the Urantia book tells us that truly comprehending these concepts is an evolutionary process.
So it's not like flipping a switch. It's more like gradually adjusting the focus on a telescope,
Exactly.
slowly bringing things into clearer view.
A perfect analogy. And this challenge of trying to reconcile the Trinity with this monotheistic framework that wasn't limited to just Judaism. I mean, think about Islam. The Quran emphasizes this oneness of law. It leaves very little room for a Trinitarian interpretation. So it seems like this resistance to the Trinity concept, it's something that emerges again and again in faiths that are rooted in a strong monotheistic tradition.
So it's less about rejecting the idea outright and more about struggling to reconcile it with their existing understanding of the divine.
Exactly. They were seeing polytheism where perhaps they should have been seeing a kind of divine multiplicity within a singular essence. And the Urantia book actually highlights this very tension as kind of a recurring theme throughout human spiritual history.
So how did Christianity, which emerges from that same Jewish tradition of monotheism, how did they eventually embrace this concept of the Trinity? Because they had Jesus literally revealing the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, you'd think that would make things pretty crystal clear.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But even with Jesus' teachings, the early Christians still grappled with this. Don't forget, they were coming from a background that was deeply, deeply rooted in the worship of Yahweh as the one true God. So to integrate this new understanding of a triune God, that was a process. It wasn't some instant download. The Urantia book seems to suggest that even with the best teacher imaginable, grasping a truth as profound as the Trinity, it takes time.
Okay, so even with this divine revelation, wrapping their heads around the Trinity, it was a journey, not just like a destination that they instantly reached. It sounds like the early Christians, even with their close connection to Jesus, they still had some misunderstandings about the Trinity. Like, didn't they mistake Jesus for the eternal Son of the Paradise Trinity?
That's right. The Urantia book clarifies that the Christian concept of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, while practically true on a spiritual level, it wasn't entirely factually accurate. You see, they mistook specific beings like Jesus, the Creator Son, for these eternal and infinite persons of the Paradise Trinity.
So they were kind of getting the vibes right,
Yeah.
but the specifics were a little off. It's like hearing a song on the radio and loving it and then later finding out you misheard some of the lyrics.
Exactly. And this is where the Urantia book offers such valuable insight, I think, because it helps us to understand not just the who of the Trinity, but also the why. It reveals this deeper significance of the concept and how it helps to explain some of the universe's biggest mysteries.
Okay, so let's dive into that why. Why is this concept of the Trinity so crucial to understanding not just God, but the cosmos itself?
Well, think about it. We live in a universe of incredible diversity, right?
Yeah.
Constant change, endless evolution. And yet, underlying all of that, there's this fundamental unity, a single infinite source of all reality. Reconciling that oneness with the multiplicity that we observe all around us, that's no easy feat.
Right.
And that, in essence, is the challenge that the Trinity helps us to address. It's like the cosmic equation that helps us make sense of it all.
So the Trinity is like this missing link that connects the dots between a singular absolute God and this diverse, ever-changing universe that we experience.
Precisely. The Trinity isn't just some abstract theological idea. It's the key to understanding how a singular absolute God can be both the unchanging first source A and D, the ever-changing dynamic force behind a constantly evolving cosmos.
Mind blown. And so the Trinity explains how God can be both one and many. But the Urantia book doesn't stop there, does it? It introduces this whole other level of threes with this concept of triunities. How do those fit into this cosmic equation?
Here's where it gets really, really interesting. Remember those 7 absolutes that we talked about before? Think of those like the fundamental building blocks of reality. The Urantia book explained that these absolutes, they interact and relate to each other in these specific triune configurations. These configurations are called triunities. They're like these specialized teams of absolutes. each with a specific job to do in this grand scheme of things.
Okay, so we're going even deeper into this idea of threes being fundamental to reality. But instead of just these simple observations like triads, now we're talking about these cosmic forces that shape the very fabric of existence.
You got it. And it's important to remember that triunities are distinct from the Paradise Trinity. The Trinity is about these three persons of deity. It's a single entity.
Oh, right.
Triunities, on the other hand, are functional groupings of the absolutes that govern different aspects of reality. They're the behind-the-scenes mechanisms that are driving the universe's operations.
7 absolutes, countless interactions, endless possibilities. It's giving me a serious case of cosmic vertigo.
It is a lot to take in, but let's break it down a bit. The Urantia book describes 7 primary triunities, each with its own unique function. The first, the personal purposive triunity, is probably the one that resonates with us most strongly.
Is that because it's the one that directly involves us, Father, Son, Spirit?
You got it. Think of this triunity as the wellspring of divine love, mercy, and ministry that flows from the paradise deities into all of creation. It's the source of our spiritual nature. It's the source of our capacity for love, worship, growth. It's the triunity that, in a very real sense, makes our spiritual ascent possible.
Wow, talk about an incredible legacy. But there are 6 other triunities, right? What kind of cosmic functions are we talking about here?
Oh, we're talking everything from the cosmic blueprint of existence itself to the very essence of spirit, energy. Even our old friend, the unqualified absolute, gets involved. Each triunity represents a different facet of reality, and they're all working together in this intricate, interconnected dance of existence.
So in a sense, these triunities are like the cosmic conductors, each one orchestrating a different section of the universe's grand symphony.
A beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's through understanding these triunities that we really begin to grasp the incredible scale and complexity of reality as the Urantia book reveals it. But there's one more layer we need to unravel.
Oh, there's more. I'm barely keeping up as it is.
I know, right? But trust me, this is where things get really, really mind-blowing. You see, the Urantia book doesn't just leave us with these 7 primary triunities.
Wait, there are more. Hold on, let me grab a notepad. My brain is about to hit capacity.
Don't worry, we'll take it slow. The Urantia book alludes to a total of 15 triunities.
15. Okay, so where are the other 8 hiding out? And what makes them so special that they only get this brief mention?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The Urantia book only hints at their existence, suggesting that they operate on levels of reality that are beyond even the experiential level of supremacy.
Okay, so beyond even the supreme being, we're talking about realms of existence that would make even a cosmic philosopher's head spin. What's fascinating is that the Urantia book, it acknowledges these higher levels of reality without fully explaining them. It's like a cosmic cliffhanger. It leaves us to ponder the vastness of what we don't yet know.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't shut down our curiosity, but invites us to keep exploring, to keep pushing the boundaries of our understanding.
So we've gone from these simple, relatable triads, these basic observations that early humans used to try to understand their world. And from there, we've zoomed out to this incredible cosmic panorama of triunities and then beyond. It's enough to make your head spin. But didn't you mention something about triodities, too? How do those fit into this cosmic picture?
Yes, the triodities. While the triodities are primarily about functional unity, how the absolutes work together, triodities are more about the emergence of experiential deities.
Experiential deities, so like gods that we can actually interact with and experience as we progress on our spiritual journey.
Precisely. Triodities play a crucial role in the emergence of deities, like the Supreme Being, who, we experience progressively throughout our ascension career. Think of it this way. If triunities are the cosmic architects, then triodities are the master builders, bringing those architectural plans to life.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So triodities are involved in the actualization of these deities. Do you know exactly how that works?
The specifics are still shrouded in mystery, which, only adds to the intrigue.
Right.
The Urantia book provides us with 2 key examples, the triodity of actuality and the triodity of potentiality. And let me tell you, their names are not an exaggeration.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What do these powerful-sounding triodities actually represent? All right, let's talk about these cosmic power couples, triodity of actuality and triodity of potentiality. What makes them so fundamental?
Well, the triodity of actuality is like the ultimate power trio of realized existence.
Okay.
It brings together the eternal sun, the paradise isle, and the conjoined actor.
Wow.
Imagine. The very essence of spirit, the foundation of the cosmos, and this boundless potential of mind, all coming together in perfect harmony.
Talk about a dream team. So if I'm understanding this correctly, this triodity represents the forces that make reality, well, real.
Exactly.
It's the bedrock of everything that I...
It's the ultimate expression of actuality, the very ground of being. But then we have the triodity of potentiality.
Right.
And as you can probably guess, that's where things get really, really interesting.
Oh, I'm all ears. The unqualified absolute is involved in this one, right?
You know it.
And if we're talking potentiality, that has to be where things get really wild.
This triodity consists of the deity absolute, the universal absolute, and, as you astutely pointed out, the unqualified absolute.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the cosmic storehouse of everything that is, everything that was, and everything that could be.
Oh.
Talk about potential.
So in a way, the triodity of potentiality is like the blank canvas upon which the triodity of actuality paints the masterpiece of creation.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's within this interplay of actuality and potentiality, this cosmic dance of triunities and triodities, that the supreme being emerges.
The supreme being, now that's a concept we could spend a whole other deep dive exploring. But for now, can you give us a little teaser? What makes the supreme being so significant in this grand scheme of triunities and triodities?
The supreme being is fascinating because it's a deity in the process of becoming, imagine, a being of unimaginable power and scope, constantly evolving right alongside the universe itself, shaped by these very forces we've been discussing.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We started with these simple triads, these basic observations that early humans used to understand their world. And from there, we've zoomed out to this incredible cosmic panorama of triunities, triodities, and the supreme being. It's enough to make your head spin.
It is a lot to process, that's for sure. But I think within this intricate tapestry of cosmic forces, there's a really profound message for us. We are not just observers in this grand cosmic drama.
You're right.
Every step we take on our own spiritual journey, every decision we make, it contributes to the unfolding of this incredible universe.
It's both humbling and awe-inspiring at the same time, wouldn't you say? To think that we play a part in this cosmic dance.
Absolutely. And the best part is, we're only just scratching the surface.
Right.
Remember those 8 unrevealed triunities we touched on earlier?
I do, yeah.
Those, my friend, are a testament to the boundless mysteries that still await us.
It's like the Urantia book is giving us a glimpse into the infinite, reminding us that there's always more to discover, more to understand.
Always more.
It's a journey without end, and that's incredibly exciting.
I couldn't agree more. The pursuit of knowledge and spiritual growth is an adventure that never gets old.
Well said. Well, folks, there you have it. The Trinity, triunities, triodities, and the Supreme Being. We've covered a lot of ground today, but more importantly, we've opened up a universe of possibilities for continued exploration. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember, you're not just looking at distant points of light, you're looking at a symphony of cosmic forces, all orchestrated by a love that surpasses our wildest imagination. Until next time, keep those minds open and keep diving deep.